All right, here we go, guys. Looking at the supply side of our demand and supply unit. If I sound like a chipmunk, please let me know. This is the third time I'm trying this. But supply simply is defined as the amount of goods available. And those goods then are determined based on the company that's producing them. So it's not all the goods together, but how much good somebody produces. So think snap bracelets, desks, whatever it is. It's how much the sellers are willing to supply. Okay. Again, the law of supply looks at, simply stated, it's the higher the price of a good, the more of that good is produced. And the question of why comes into play. You'd think maybe you want to limit your supply to increase the price, but in reality, you do that, you make more because you're going to make more money on it. I'll show you a supply schedule here in a second. So the price of a good rises. Companies that make that product are going to produce more of it, and then other companies are going to be incentivized to enter the market as well. When you see firms, think companies. Okay, so everybody's looking to maximize profits. So existing companies are going to make more. New companies are going to enter the market because they can make some money on it. Okay, so conversely, now if the price of a good falls, okay, people who make it already are going to produce less, and those who don't make it won't get in the market, or they'll drop out because they're not making money on it. Think about things like silly bands. Okay, a couple of years ago, those were everywhere. You guys had them all over your wrist, whatever they were, dragons, I don't know. Now you don't see them that often. So the companies that make them make less, and other companies aren't making those, or they're not making knockoffs of those as well because they're not making money on it. All right. So again, the law of supply works because existing companies will change the level of production, and new companies or new firms will either get in or get out, depending on really how much is demanded. Okay, this is a supply schedule, much like the demand schedule we looked at, but just an inverse of that. So what this shows is the price of a product, for our purposes now, a stuffed animal. You can think Cuddly Wuddly Bear or whatever, and how many stuffed animals are going to produce. So if they're going to sell a stuffed animal for $5, whatever company it is, Spawn Enterprises, they're not making any of them because they're not making any money. Conversely, if people are going to pay $50 for that stuffed animal, they're going to make 900 of them because they can make a lot more money on it. Okay, a supply curve, much like a demand curve, has a distinct slope. It's always going to slope up and to the right, and it's plotted the same way with price on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal. And you can see the higher the price of a good, the more that good is going to be produced. Okay, when you look at elasticity of supplies, it's just how do sellers respond to a change in the price of the good. We'll talk about how that price is set with supply and demand and interacting. Okay, so if a good's said to be elastic, the supply is highly subject to change. If it's inelastic, it's not very subject to change. So what could be easily, if output cannot be easily changed, think about this, the supply of electricity. You're not changing electricity, a power plant to a muffin machine or something like that. If you think about crab puffs and sheds, yeah, that was good to get our, to kind of wrap our minds around that original concept of opportunity costs and stuff. But to have a factory that's going to produce both sheds and crab puffs is rather difficult. You're probably doing one or the other, or a similar product to one or the other. If supply is inelastic, it's easy, or is elastic, excuse me, it's easily changed. If you think about waiters, okay, the supply of waiters and the service they provide, is that easily changeable? Absolutely. I mean, almost anybody can do it. Not everybody can do it well, but almost everybody can do it. Okay, now we'll end here looking at cost of production. So when suppliers are looking at making goods, okay, when they want to make more when the price goes up and less when the price goes down, they have to answer the question, how much are they going to make? How much are they going to produce? Okay, and then what comes into play here is the idea of the number of workers or the number of employees you hire. Is that going to have a direct impact on the amount of goods produced, and is it always going to be positive? Okay, that kind of leads us into our next discussion. Thank you.